So, so from my standpoint, Mark, they can start whenever they want, right? Like they don't need me to come out and run a race. Okay, well we're live, so. We're back. We're back live. Hold on, Mark. Ryan, what'd you say? Facebook Live, I think, may have been the problem. Everything's still the same. Everything's exactly the same. Yeah, there's a 20-second delay, so yeah. Yeah.
Stock airframe, guys.
Stock
you
don't
want to
manufacture, don't mod it, don't change it, don't.
If you want, and I think we said, if you want to cut away at the motor mount to slick it down, the actual mount itself, sure, fine. Don't extend it. Don't throw your prop out on a long shaft. Yep. We're going to tell you where that goes. I know somebody said about moving motor forward. Right now, we're going to determine a range. Just to that, we're going to determine a range where that's acceptable. I've got one plane that's stupid nose heavy that I had to cut that was stupid tail heavy, and I had to cut the motor in pretty far. I think that would be a pretty good guide of what is tolerable, because I'm a terrible builder.
And we're going to get to that. And we're going to get to that one as far as finding out the measurement and the variances within the next couple of weeks. This is going to come out right away. Which
right. We're not going to make final decisions on that now. I'm with you.
Which Mark just stepped away, which was we need to talk about where we're at, what's going on with. We've already started to discuss rules, and when are we starting? Sounds like he's doing some reprimanding.
Mark gonna whoop some ass.
Yeah, it's all right.
So the big thing is everybody waits for us to show up and run a race, and in all reality, you don't need us to run a race. It's great if you put it on the calendar. It's great if that everybody can see and invite people and all that kind of stuff, right? But you don't need Mark or I or Alex there to run the race.
That translates into the next topic, actually.
Yes, that's what I was going to.
Right. That's a good way to move into the next topic, which is funding of races and how they'll be run.
So before you go on that, hold on. Before you go on that, I know where you're going. I want to make sure. I want to get this out.
All right.
I see we're kind of talking to Chatty Cathy or the interwebs. So, in talking to the interwebs, my statement would be to everybody is, and this is a board question as well. Why don't we make sure we start pushing the chapters to hold races on their own with this caveat going on, which is we found out this past weekend from I believe Matt, his name's drawing my blank. He flies with Rotor in Jacksonville. Came up with gates 60-foot all in, $60 at Lowe's, everything, including the fabric that goes around it. And we tested and we flew it there.
Mark came up with some too. Mark Ashton came with some.
And Ryan, you saw it. You saw the gate. It's economical.
Yeah, for $60, it was pretty impressive.
It was impressive, and you could see it plain as day all around the field on the racetrack, and that's what I encourage.
That's awesome. We want to see that.
Right. Make these races happen on your local event, and this is going to lead now to back. I'm done talking to them. Now I'm talking about the board, which is, I think we should hold big races and host big races on our own.
Okay.
And I mean, like up where you're at, Alex, because the equipment's there.
All right.
And
Hold on.
hold a big race. At least hold on. And then with the idea that these chapters that we are trying to encourage and go get gates, buy some gates, have some races, that they are actually sanctioned and goes towards a big race being held.
Look, let me lead into the. Let me be, because I was the one who previously took care of this. Let me lead into this.
Correct.
Okay.
Which is just going to let you go with that.
We discussed at the beginning or the last meeting about me stepping down as an official. One of the things that the individuals that said I couldn't be an official and still race didn't count on was they believed that I would continue to fund the WRA solely out of my own pocket, as I have done, while not being able to call the shots. In other words, having no control over the organization, but be responsible for paying the bill. Since I stepped down, my funding has gone too. So the WRA has to fund itself. Meaning whether that has to come from the WRA store or donations from sponsors or whatever. Obviously, every sale of the VAS spec wing that goes 100% to the WRA. But we now, because I have decided that if I cannot have control and any say in my own organization, I am not going to. I mean, I'm not made out of money. So
correct.
It's a funding thing. So
WRA needs
if
to
the
fund
WRA
itself,
is going to have the WRA, I'd love for the WRA to have races, but races cost money, and there are two major hurdles to racing. And the number one, and Mark's going to be like, yes, thank you. Volunteers. People show up to race. They don't bother help setting up the track, and Mark and I are the ones that end up tearing it down. Look, guys. And whether we build this into the code of ethics or not, I don't know. But we need some sweat equity. In other words, anybody that shows up to the race really has a responsibility to help the WRA set this up. It really can't fall on Mark and I. And I know I'm going to call out Anthony Ginello here because when we were at a race where I got sick, I got heat exhaustion, and he stepped up to the plate and said, you know what? I'm not going to make Alex do it himself. And he got a couple of volunteers together and tore it down. And I really appreciate that. But I think that's to be expected of everyone because everybody is a volunteer. We can't afford to pay people to set this up and tear this down. If there are 20 pilots and we have 5 gates, that's 4 pilots per gate helping it set up or tear down. That's what, 10 minutes?
Not even, because I can break them down and put them up myself in less than that.
Yeah, right. Okay,
so Atlantic City.
So it's
put it in the code of ethics. Just put it in the code of ethics.
The code of ethics. The code of ethics needs to include. Look, seriously, these guys are responsible for.
What says you, Ryan, about putting in a code of ethics or rules of conduct, something of that effect?
Yeah.
But yes, no, maybe so. I'm kind of indifferent on it, and I'm not saying because I'm guilty of not volunteering, because I am guilty of not volunteering when it comes to race environment. I'm there to race. I'm just being real. Other pilots probably feel the same way. Some do. Some obviously definitely don't. And like people like Anthony and Roscoe and all them that have stepped up time and time.
I do step
Well, okay, hold on.
There are other people going to say, hold on. Other people are going to state this thing. I'm just being the devil's advocate here for the board, which is I paid money to come to this event. I paid to come here to entertain myself. I paid. Period. End of story. I'm just giving you the devil. Don't come after me with tongues lashing.
Okay, so I'm going to address that. I got to address that because this is a big deal for me. Because 90% of the time, Alex is helping, but he gets distracted really easy because people want to ask him this, that, and the other. That's totally got nothing to do with it. So 90% of the time, it's just me, and I don't get paid for this, right? Like the WRA doesn't put any money in my pocket, right? None, zero, nada.
So we do without volunteers. What do you
all I'm asking for is if you come out to race, I understand that some of these event organizers are charging you guys to be there. Guess what?
We're not.
They're not paying me, and I'm not charging you to be there. So it would be I understand. I'm talking to Chatty Cathy Land, right?
I'm serious right here with this. If you're gonna want to volunteer, which is A, want to volunteer, and B, take over my shoes after. I'm talking Chatty Cathy Land now. If you want to take over my shoes after the year, then I think there's something that should always be a spot for a pilot willing to step up and sit out a year and volunteer their time to help the sport. And also when they're at events, they are also helping volunteer, which is officiate or whatever needs to be done.
I think that's everyone's responsibility.
But I'm just
Set
saying,
up and tear down is everyone's responsibility.
Defining this seat right here, this is the first time it's been sitting on the board. I think it's a good thing to do. I think pilots should fulfill this occupancy when I leave going forward if the organization stays alive. And people who are on the board when they go or at these events are also they're obviously going to officiate. They're going to do whatever or volunteer. Alex, it would be you volunteering because you can't official, and blah blah blah, and including me showing up, doing whatever you guys deem necessary. I think that's what we should do. And then people that showed up put it in the code of ethics. Ryan, I think you're having a Han, maybe not, but something to get all the other participants to participate in setting up and tear down.
Well, for God's sake, Ryan can't set up and tear down. His back is still screwed up.
That's true.
Well, I mean,
agreed, right?
This goes to the pilots.
Having to specify that in the rule book, I think is a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
I do like the idea Shelby has that, we're kind of running with at the moment, which is, hey, we have a pilot that comes in for a year, doesn't race for that year, but is the voice of the pilots or what have you at these meetings,
right.
Those kind of things, right? I think that's a fantastic idea, and I think that kind of thing should be in the rule book. But if we have to start telling people, hey, you need to stay, it puts a real negative connotation on it when these people should be stepping up anyway,
So there's really
before my
Commonwealth
accident,
Games?
Well, before my accident, when I could help Mark, right? It was Mark and I tearing stuff down. But something I noticed this weekend at the two guys that were cleaning were the same two guys that were racing. We need to figure out how to make that happen, because that was awesome to see them go do that without having to go, hey guys, I need help. They just sprung up and did it. And that to me said a lot about, one, the person's character, but two, the way Zach was running that part of the event.
Remember Commonwealth Games? Or Mark Ashton remembers Commonwealth Games. Ryan, you may not. Jeremiah was, because he put it on and promoted himself, and then as soon as the event was over, he pieced out and left me, Jason, and Sean to clean it up.
Oh yeah, well, Mark and I were there. We got the trailer down on the field and that kind of stuff, and I helped with what I could. But
you remember
I'm
that?
Still weight limited. Oh yeah,
bullshit. I don't.
Well, then we need to define our roles to businesses that are using our services. Like, hey, this is what's good. Well, this is in the contract. Correct? I mean, am I wrong?
No, I
because I think that's
you're right.
If it's not written in the contract, then because this is business to business interaction here. You're talking to Jeremiah as a business doing this event, and that's why you guys came. And at the time, I didn't sit on this board, and you should or did maybe, I guess, put a contract to him or presented a contract to him. It's probably word of mouth, since I know everybody on this board. Probably word of mouth. So going in the future, be it in a contract. State it in the contract. Period. I'm coming to your events. Running down the race. Right.
If the WRA puts on a race, and it comes back to the problem where it's going to be Mark and I, and more Mark than me, because I'll get distracted, as he said.
Well, then the only way it's going to get succeeded, in my point of view, that it's going to succeed is if we are browbeating them when we're at the events. Like we're strongly encouraging them to do this behavior, because you don't want to put this in the code of ethics. I kind of agree with Ryan. It's a little bit of a stretch to get that kind of, we need to put it in there as not as a rule, but more of as the organization's built right now with volunteers, and everybody's help is needed. Something to that.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
I can live with that.
Without browbeating like you have to volunteer or, the
right. It's expected that you will pitch in.
But no, state it like, hey, it's real. It's expected and needed that every pilot helps out at the events to best of their ability.
So all right. So it should be updated that everybody supports the event in some way.
So it's simple. It's simple. You simply word it that every pilot should expect to be asked to help set up and or tear down at an event.
I like that.
You're not required, but you should expect that if we don't have the manpower there that day, that someone is going to come to you, myself, Alex,
And ask for
Ryan,
help.
or whoever, and ask for help. And you should be willing to give up your time to help.
So
Now,
we'll word it,
because
put it
the
in there if
thing,
you guys will word it.
right? Because the thing you got to remember, a lot of these guys are traveling a very long way. And, you know, and I'm cognizant of that, so I try not to bitch about it too much when I'm stuck breaking stuff down alone, right? But at the same time, some guys do jump out, they'll break down a gate, and then they'll just drag it somewhere. But I understand that some people have an 8, 9, 12-hour drive, and they got to be at work on Monday. So they're trying to get out of there as quick as possible, right? Literally,
You do
it
too,
takes.
Mark. You work for me.
I mean, I understand that, but
Tear something down before you walk out. Whatever.
you
it
can
is,
tear
little.
something down, help
Just something
in
little.
some way.
And I've been guilty of it too. So I'm saying it right here. So because we're fucking live, but yes, as a board member, as talking to you guys and my friends, you have my word. So when I'm at these events, I'll either do whatever I can to help tear down, set up,
Right.
and run and do whatever else for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, my thing is I just don't want to
to
turn and look and there's no one around. Right?
Right, exactly.
The event's
Because
over. We hand
like to
out
say
whatever the
that,
prize is,
I
and
think
now all of a
everybody
sudden
in the
everybody's
federal
gone.
needs to understand that the reason why the season of 17 and 18 and part of 19 was so successful was in part to all the people that volunteered at all these big events. That's what made some of these events very, very good because they did help. Now you were saying that, but it's also tear down needs to be helped and other things need to be helped, and that's what we need to have. So good, cool.
So, example, we had 1 or 2 events, I don't remember, down here at Markham Park.
He's breaking up. Is anybody else?
Yeah,
breaking
he's breaking up for me
I
too.
can't get you, Ryan. You're totally frozen. He's totally frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen now.
There he
you're back.
is.
For
back.
this thing. Am I back?
You're
Yeah.
back. You're
You have to
back.
start
All
over.
right. So anyway, there were races in February of 18 or 19, I don't remember which, down at Markham Park just south of me that we ran races at. And it went great because everybody jumped in and helped. And we set up in an hour and we tore down in an hour. And we ran races all day long. You know, if we could get more of that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, we're not asking for much.
So
We're
we need
asking
to
for
make
20
we need to make that some sort of our what do you want to call it? I'm drawing a blank on the name. Not our work statement. What the fuck am I looking for? That you live by,
Mission
our
statement?
motto. So yeah, mission statement. Thank you. Something in the line. It needs to be our mission statement needs to be readdressed. So and add that in there. You know, it's built on volunteers. And it
Yeah,
requires
right.
volunteers. It's successful because of volunteers. So when we come to you, we're expecting us to come to you and asking for help because it's expected that we have volunteers help out. Otherwise, we won't work. So wordsmith it, but that needs to be coming down the pipe.
Right.
Which we're addressing now the chatty Cathy's, the interweb people.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to get a revised code of ethics or code of conduct. So we're going to get a revised rules put in for the spec class, as far as when it goes to ESCs and the prop and the motor and all that jazz, towing in and all the nonsense, the no's and the yeses, and get it put out within the next couple of weeks. Right, that's the idea, so that we can move forward. Funding doesn't come from trees. Funding comes from all of us, pilots and sponsors. So I think, and more. And now I'm talking to the board. What do we do? Do we want to start charging a fee for memberships and get pilots to be in, or what? I mean, because you're gonna have to have a revenue.
Well, yes, but here's the deal. You just mentioned sponsors. It's a good way to explain it. Look, here's the deal. Let me tell you a little bit. We'll walk into sponsors with history. Historically, there were 2.
Why do I feel like
Merrill Ross and myself. Okay, Merrill dropped out. TVRC dropped in and picked up a portion of Merrill's weight. You know, pilots. There are pilots that have their sponsors, right?
Yes.
The problem is if you are representing your sponsor before the organization, if you're putting your sponsor before the organization, and that's not just, that's the, when I say the organization, I mean the pilot group as a whole, everybody at the event, everybody within the FPVWRA, you are a problem. And
Stop.
Sponsor.
Go ahead, Ash.
Please. I don't want to go down this road. I know where this road goes, and let's please not do that.
Continue on, then move on. Next topic.
No, we're fine. We need to discuss funding, but I know where this road goes, and I'm not going there.
Let me go back to funding from a
So basically, from an organizational standpoint, is sponsorships for the organization need to be addressed, right? We have to be able to run down more, but it's a very small organization right now. It's hard to get the sponsorships. The sponsorships money also has kind of, I won't say dried up, but it's getting thinner around everywhere, including multi-rotor wings, whatever. It's shrinking.
Yeah, the market's shrinking.
And a lot of that is what's the return on investment, right? And from a business standpoint, is the ROI worth me giving you $5,000-$10,000 to help fund your organization? Maybe, but it might not be. And some of those guys don't want to take that risk right now. They just can't afford to, and that's fine. But what I think we really do need to address is that from a pilot standpoint, I know the pilots don't know this because it's never been like hey, out there in their face. But here it is right now, black and white. We have never charged for an event except for once. And we didn't. All we did was really recover. We only did that to recover our expenses. We didn't make a dime on it, right? So the pilots got to understand that when that money comes out of their pocket, it's going to the event organizer. It's never gone to us.
Yeah, we haven't made a dime on it.
So we have to figure out a way that's fair to everyone, including the organization, to fund the organization outside of the store. Because the store's not making $1 million a year, right? If it was making $1 million a year, I wouldn't be sitting here complaining about this.
Yeah, every gate and pylon has come out of my personal.
And that's what I said to you guys in the last meeting, which is we have to come up with a revenue stream of multiple sources, which we discussed.
Right, but if I could finish a statement, which has not happened tonight. We have to address this from a standpoint of, okay, guys, do we go with a yearly membership fee? It doesn't have to be big, right? Or do we do a per event thing where the pilots pay us for the event when we're there, right? Do they pay $60 for a race and they race for a weekend to come out and race, or do they pay $200 for a full year? And I'm spitballing numbers, guys. These aren't actual numbers, but
I think this
is that
put this out to the pilots and ask them. I think we should ask them how. Let's get some other ideas. I'm not against anything. Let's get some ideas. But you're right, Mark. We do need a way to pay for these things because, yeah, I agree with you.
Well.
But how do we do it? Let's put it out there. Let's see what maybe somebody comes up with a slam dunk idea that we are not thinking.
I'm okay with soliciting the.
Yeah, I'm totally down for an idea.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Right.
I've solicited my ideas in the past, and we've discussed those. But Mark.
Yeah, like I said,
please,
I mean,
hold on. Let Mark
PRC has been huge.
Mark,
So
finish. Make sure you keep talking about it because you said you're not. You feel like you're not finished getting points out. So address more. Then keep talking. You have the mic.
So, I mean, it really just, that's it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's like the guys have to understand, not only do we, are we in need of help, with sweat equity, but we might need, we need money, right? Money's got to come into the organization. And it's not so that I can make money because, again, I don't get paid by the WRA. No one's making money on the WRA right now. It's just not happening, okay? And that's fine. We didn't do this to get rich, right? But in order for us to come out and hold races, if there's no revenue stream coming in, we can't come out and do races. And everybody's asking, hey, when is your next race? Well, I mean, you got, $8,000 for me to come to, Maryland or, New Jersey or something. Do you? Probably not. We got to figure it out. We have to figure out some way that we can pay for the gas in the truck or the RV while pulling that trailer to get to and from the events.
And also the damage to our equipment.
And the damage, because that's a huge thing right now. Like, I don't have a single gate right now that doesn't have to be majorly repaired. Like, and I'm not talking about put a little bit of tape over a prop strike. I'm talking about major repairs. Every single one of them is in that
Yeah,
state
right.
now.
And that's just the thing is we need. I mean, the store goes directly towards that. All right, but if now granted, the store like saying, hey, motor manufacturers, ESC manufacturers, you cannot sell WRA ESC except through the WRA. That's one way. Going through the so here are possible funding sources. One, anything that's run within the WRA is bought through the WRA store. That's one funding source. Two, charge per unit, charge per race. Every event, there's a certain fee. I can see this is supported slightly on the chat over here, and a membership fee. If there are any other ideas, if there are any other ideas out there, we as a group want to hear them because we never want this to feel like the WRA is trying to make a profit on you, the pilots. We simply want it to be self-sustaining, and we're not going to waste anything you put into the WRA. We are not going to waste. We're going to be very frugal with it, and we need you to trust that, but we also we need some kind of funding. I think that lays it out, right?
I agree with you 100%. We need revenue sources, funding sources, whether it be straight donations to. I agree with an annual fee and paying for events, major events. I totally. And
I don't like the
pilot,
but I like per event.
Coming from a pilot's perspective, I'm willing to do that 100%. And if I were to talk to other fellow pilots and I would hear concern, and I'm just telling you this as a board, I would address that and be like, it's a sport. Have you ever played in another sport? Have you ever done another sport? It costs money. It costs money, yes, on your gear, but you also pay to be in that sporting organization, most likely. And that's just the way it is. So I have no objection to all that. So
Rotor Ranch, we can sell cookies. I love it. Well, look, guys, in general, this is to the crowd that's listening or hear the stream. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you think is the best way to do this, because inevitably you're the one that's going to pay for this, and we don't want to make it oppressive to anyone. So we're open to ideas.
Realistic things. So
yeah,
right. And it's not trying to be oppressive, right? It's not from a standpoint. I'm not coming at people from a standpoint of trying to oppress, be oppressive or keep people out. But we can't include people if we can't put races on. If we can't put races on, then we can't include people. It doesn't matter if I could have 10,000 members. If I've got 10,000 members and $500 in our pocket, guess how many races we can do? Half.
Mark, can I ask you a question then? A real one then? To start off a race, is there any objection to having a race up there?
No, in fact, there's a couple of vineyards up here who've asked about it.
Why can't
the insurance is the problem.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. See, there's other costs other than travel, and that's that's one of the things that everybody's got to remember. We have to get insurance, because a lot of these places don't want somebody getting hurt on their dime, right?
Because I actually don't know.
It's about $400.
Okay, so if you hold an event up there and we charge people to come to an event in Lynchburg and / Amherst, charge them a fee that covers, obviously, at a minimum, the covers cost for the insurance, plus where, I would sounds like you got a freebie on the field location.
Sort
I
of.
don't see. I'm just saying, as a board, I don't know why we don't.
When we ran races down here, we had to rent out the park, and then we also had to have AMA coverage.
Well, that's
right?
what I'm saying.
And AMA is not cheap.
What is it on your end to do that with the vineyards?
I'd have to pull you up the exact number, but it wasn't cheap, and I balked at it a little bit, because I thought, it's just the AMA, right? We'll just have them cover the event, and they came back and said, no, this is a special event. Are you handing out prizes? And I was like, no, we're not handing out. She's like, okay, good, because then it got more expensive.
Oh,
right.
So no, we're not handing out prizes. No, there's no prize purse. And that was all bringing the price down. But I want to say it was still 180 or so. It just that alone. That's not the extra stuff that the park required us to have as well. because it's a state park.
I'm just bringing it up because so there could be my thought process was going forward. You know, the WRA holds a kickoff and an end. They kick off the season and they end the season.
If you remember
And then,
what that was before.
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I remember going up there as the same location where you would have it at that place where we tested out everything. Very, very.
I'm just saying that we did that.
Well,
So,
I mean, it's just a
okay. So, well, this will answer another question that's come up a couple of times in the past, a number of times in the past. I'm not opposed, right? If now this is pending money, but I'm not opposed to an East Coast open and a West Coast closed, or vice versa,
actually,
right?
that's really cool.
And then that way, the West Coast guys get a race, the East Coast guys get a race, and what we can do is if there's anything in the middle, we can do something in the middle, right? And then we don't have to hold major, 10, 15, 20 major events during the year. We can do 2 or 3 or 4. You could do a Midwest, and then, you could do an East, a West, a Midwest, and Texas.
By the way, guys, anybody can set up a race and have it sanctioned by the WRA. If you want to do a race, let's do it. Do it. I mean, we're all for it, and we'll support it however we can.
So, Mark, what do you say? You like what? And I'm being honest because Alex, we did it. We went to Vegas and it was fun.
We did.
No, like I said, if we can lock in, if we can lock in the number, then yeah.
We can get to Vegas at an economical price.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can't because we got to drive out there. But yeah.
Plus all the equipment.
I'm just saying. I'm thinking from a pilot's perspective.
Right, and again, I'm fine with that, but that's got to be something where everybody understands. Like that ain't free. You know what I mean? Like I can't drive 3/4 of the way across the country at a cost of $6,000+ because I'm trying to remember. I think it was about $8,000 is what we spent to go to Colorado that one year, and that was without pulling a trailer. And
that was just us like camping out in the middle of
nowhere
with
and it cost us after food, RV maintenance, and the gas was almost $8,000.
So
that's not including me laying under the RV in the middle of Kansas trying to get the tire off of it. Yeah.
Right.
So let's just think about for right now doing it there.
We can do something here. I mean, we have to reach out to some people in Vegas that can get us.
I'm talking about just holding one.
Here.
Away.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And get it going.
No, I mean I'm not opposed to that. We'll just have to see. We'll have to look at some weekends and see what we can get as far as a venue. I know I wasn't going to discuss this because we don't have anything in writing yet. There's no contract yet. I haven't heard final. But state games, not state games of America, it's Commonwealth Games again this year. They want us to come back.
Yeah.
So that's possibly going to happen. I've been talking to Jeremiah's been kind of the go-between there.
Like always, that should just be the ending championship.
Well, maybe. I mean,
but it's in the middle of the year. You can't do a championship in June. Like it just doesn't work. Yeah. Like I always kind of thought it was funny when Jeremiah was like, "Oh, this is the wing championship." No, it's not.
So if you
I mean,
you're middle of the year. You had an open, a middle, and a closed, and that would be one of the majors.
Right.
That's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
Oh, that is one of the major events.
Well, like there's. As far as open and closing, I don't know that people even care as long as they can come up and have a good time. Whether it's an open or closer, who cares where it falls? As long as they've got an opportunity to show up and have a good time and race. And I think that's what's really important. Who cares what the official title is? I don't give a shit. And I think most people are on that thing. Let's just... I'll talk to some of the groups around here, the vineyards or whatever. If they want to do something, Ryan had mentioned the insurance, and by the way, there have been some private discussions between WRA officials and myself. Like I said, I'm not an official. I have a couple ideas that are kind of cool and interesting, but I've got to do a lot of work to make it happen. That I think a lot of you guys would just like to show up just to make it happen, just to see it. Just to see it happen, which could possibly be self-funding. In general, look, guys, it doesn't have to be official. This is me speaking to the crowd. It doesn't have to be official. Just set something up. I don't care if it's your local field. Honestly, if you guys text to say, hey, we're having a race, I may book a flight and show up in my spec wing and be ready to whoop your ass. Now, I might get my butt kicked, but that's okay. But I'll be ready to do some butt kicking. but seriously, guys, if you do that, that's really what the WRA is about. Is just it doesn't have to be like us here in this meeting here, setting up these events. If you guys want to, if you're willing to go, the extra distance here and start something, I'm happy to show up and officiate or sponsor or do something to make that race happen or to make it bigger or whatever. Don't just look at us as the only people who can do this. We're just simply the organization here to help. And honestly, we'll take all the help we can get. So, like the guys, the Texas guys, you brought the big Tex gate to CFL. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was awesome. That's what we want to see you guys do. I know I've been asked a bunch about, how much do gates cost? Where do we get them from? And then as soon as I told them the cost, they went,
that all the time.
As soon as I tell them the cost, they go, never mind. But still,
that's why you go and get the $60 gates.
Yeah, right. Again, guys, let's build this. Say, let's build this. Like if you've got an idea to make a gate for $40, publish it. And you know what? If it's cheap, the WRA will adopt it as an official gate, and that'll make it work.
We've already got a club gate, right? Like I've already designed it. I've already posted it to the pilots group and the WRA. Yep. It's there. It should be a pinned post, so it should be there to be found. And it doesn't cost but like $45-$50 in parts.
Right.
And then you could throw some streamers on there and call it a day.
That's what we want to see from everybody. Is all the participants, guys, don't look at us and expect us to come up with every idea. If you've got a good idea, or if you want to run a race, go for it. And get a hold of us and say, hey, I'm working on this. Can you help me? Yeah, we're here to support.
I will say that I don't. So I'm trying to figure out a way to say this without being. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this without being a total D-bag, right? So the WRA is trademarked. So.
Yeah, you gotta
please contact me before you go out saying, "Hey, we're running an FPVWRA race."
Right. Do a little more refining for it. So what we're saying is, check it out. We are encouraging everyone to start holding races, letting us know that you are holding races, so that we can determine whether or not we're going to consider those to be a sanctioned or an official recognized race for the WRA. Correct, and you are not allowed to just go out and arbitrarily start printing out WRA logos and slapping on them everything. You got to get pre-approval from Mark Ashton or Rhino Connor directly to get that green light. So just letting you all know in Chatty Cathy Land, don't just start running willy-nilly.
That's true. That's true.
But we want, and we are encouraging you to go out and start making some races in your local area with you and your buds and your gals and all that. And we need some grassroots. You can get go on to the website where Mark has already sourced one gate. There's another gate. We'll get some show you guys. I like it. Ryan liked it. It's great. That's another option. So you all can start holding these races, and instead of waiting for the board and everybody here sitting here to show up and haul everything to where you're located. Right? Correct? That's the gist of it all? Cool. Let's move forward. We got more shit to go.
Hold on. Ryan's got something to say. Let him say and then we need to move forward.
Go ahead. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
I got two things. The first one is, if you reach out to Mark or I and say, yo, dog, we want to do a race on this date, you're going to get a thumbs up from us. And, go ahead and promote it. If you run off on your own and, do whatever with the logo, that's going to be a different story, right? And that's all we've done is we've tried to protect the logo and all the time and effort we put into it. We're not going to be Nazis about the logo. It's just not going to happen. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're pushing that, in the right direction. The other thing I wanted to say is I have a flight in 5 hours that I have not packed for.
Good night, Ryan.
So I'm flying to Hawaii. So
I don't think there's anything more to vote on right now.
Don't get thrown into the ocean, buddy.
Yeah, so I have to go. I have to go work, unfortunately.
Right,
but I wanted to say that this format is fantastic. To get the feedback from everybody to see that we're not trying to run this stuff behind the scenes.
Right.
I think there's lots of things that we can improve on, as a board, but this is one of our things going forward. I don't even remember whose idea this was, but this is one of our things going forward that, hey, look, we did this for the pilots, right? Like, my big thing was I wanted to race. That's what I wanted to do. I've not got to race yet, but I'm having just as much fun as Mark running these races. I've been guilty to where Mark's had to reach over and slap me and tell me to shut up because I'm yelling for you guys, go Shelby,
Yep.
go Blitzkrieg, whatever, right? As I'm there and it's on the live stream, and he's like, stop, you're an official. But you get so sucked into these races because it's so much fun. And to see you guys, neck and neck, that's the racing we want to see. It's not the one guy way out in front of the pack. That's boring as hell to watch. I want to see the racing where everyone's in tight and they're trading places the whole time. That's the racing everybody wants to see. And that's all as an organization that we're trying to push, right? We want to see it's like spec, the spirit of spec, right? We want everybody to be competitively equal. And I think a lot of times people are getting upset because I don't want to say that they're losing that or they're forgetting that or what have you, but they think we're trying to be a dictator about it. We're not trying to be a dictator about it. We're just trying to make sure everybody's playing the same, so everybody's
playing with the same deck.
Exactly.
Yep.
I have one question before you run, Ryan, and you can do your vote. My vote is to add the Enduro race into the 2020 season as a race format. Yeah.
It was a really cool thing. I don't know that it's a 2020 season thing. I think it's a 2021 season thing because there's some stuff we have to iron out about that. And the way laps were counted, I wasn't really happy with that. But the way the race ran, holy crap, was that cool.
Yeah, maybe we added in as just a fun
thing, yeah.
It's a fun thing rather than official.
2020, maybe
to test it out.
2021.
2020, it's unofficial. Have some fun with it. Couple races.
I'm totally down for that.
And everybody in this chat, the officials know about some of the plans that I had proposed, which might be a lot of fun. So I think we got some fun stuff coming up. So
Mark,
and we should probably make this a pretty regular thing. I mean, Mark, Alex, we got to get some feedback on that and see what the pilots think about how this was run. But if we make this an every other month or something like that thing.
I think it's imperative that we do that. I honestly think it's.
Yeah, I don't think it's an option to not do it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the whole point of me bringing this up was so that, when I pitched it to Alex, was it creates transparency and they get to see everything that we're talking about with no secrecy or feeling like we're aiming to do things to hurt one person over the other. We're that's my whole idea. So now that squishes all that kind of conversation. You know what I mean? So now they see what we talk about. They hear how we have our conversations. They hear how we're making our decisions, and they get a chance to chit chat, and we get the chance to listen to them, let them speak, hear them out. But we keep moving forward as a board and making our decisions the way we do. And I know
we have one goal.
But Ashton, I want to make sure, Ashton, you got the rest because I'm with Ashton. I'm going to start heading out. Is there anything else that you wanted on the list to address now, or did you want to table for the next?
No, I think we're pretty much good. We've covered pretty much everything that was of real importance that
the main thing
most pilots care about.
When do you think there will be? So we don't need to wait for an official race. People can start holding them.
They can start racing tomorrow if they want to. I just need an email, or you can just ping me on Discord. There's an event tab. In the text channels on Discord. There's an event. Put your event in there. I will look at it. Don't get upset that if I say, hey guys, I don't like this idea, so the WRA is not going to allow it. You can't. That just would mean that you can't use our logo, right? But you can certainly use our Discord server to do that, to help organize it and stuff. I don't have a problem with that.
They just need to make sure they reach out to
you. Just make sure they reach out to me some way, shape, or form, and then we can put it in there. That way, that way I know what's going on, and I don't get an email from somebody in China that says, "Hey, the WRA reached out to me about manufacturing X, Y, or Z." And I'm like,
And I guess we should make sure we address everybody.
Yeah, let's address that real quick.
Make sure no one's reaching out to anybody without the consent of the board. Do not reach out to a manufacturer to try to represent WRA. Don't try to pitch them. Hey, maybe I can. Don't do anything unless it's express written consent or verbal authorization.
You'll have an email from me that says that you're allowed to do that. Please do not go out and front as the FPVWRA to get something manufactured for someone or by somebody. There's levels of illegal on that anyway. But don't do that.
To make sure, and then I'm not trying to cut you off, Mark. I'm just trying to help guide the ship. Mm-hmm. Did you address everything, Ryan? Did you? Because I know you got to go.
Yeah, I'm good. I got to drop. But
Alex, you good?
I've got.
All right, Ryan. See ya.
Back to Alex in a second.
Yeah.
Sean, you record everything so far? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. So I guess what we'll do is officially wrap this up. Let Alex continue to talk, but let's schedule the next meeting now. Let's make this official. Do we want 4 weeks from now to give them a status update, and then from going from that point forward, we'll determine our frequency and doing these. I think in 4 weeks is a needed thing. Not a 2-month gap right now. 8 weeks is entirely too long.
So you want to do like Thursday the 9th?
Thursday the 9th sounds great to me. I'll be
sounds
back.
Good to me. I can do it.
So I can do it then.
I can pencil it in. We're good.
I think more frequency. I think I hate saying it like this, just because I am a parent. Kids need to see mommies and daddies together more frequently. And the pilots are looking at us in that kind of fashion, in a way of
it'll be shorter in 4 weeks for sure. This will be basically less than an hour if we do it in 4 weeks. But I agree. I'm with you.
Communication is going to still go forward. We'll make sure we blast out to everybody all the communications of anything that's new, up and running from Mark or Ryan and so forth that we posted on the WRA page. Look for that. And then the next meeting on Thursday. What is it again? The 9th? What day is that?
Thursday the 9th.
Thursday the 9th. I guess we'll just try to do the same time, 7 p.m.
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we'll start advertising it more.
Hey guys,
good with everything. If anything I missed, I'll make sure I bring it to the next meeting. So these are 12 minutes.
So at this point, we covered just about everything. Let me close with this. The mission of the FPVWRA is to promote and grow the sport of fixed wing video piloted racing in all forms and fashions. My goal in this organization, whether we can make it happen or not, actually was given to me by Merrill Ross. My hope is to grow the sport. That means don't try to disclude everybody. Let's try to grow this with more people. Merrill said to me like this: right now we're flying foam triangles around a couple of, at that point, PVC pipes. Imagine if Red Bull air racing met FPV, because a full-scale airplane is awesome, but it can only take so much before the pilot inside dies. And if a pilot is inside, that means there's only one pilot on the racetrack. And that FPV takes that problem away, because the airplane is more capable than the pilot. And if there's no pilot on board, that means multiple pilots can race. So the end goal, the hope of the FPVWRA is to eventually get it to the size of full-scale aviation on a Red Bull-style racetrack, where sponsors like, say, and I'm going to throw this out there because I brew my own beer and I hate them, Budweiser, would say, you know what, if you wreck that plane, who cares? Just make it spectacular. Okay? I would really like to see it get to the point where it's just like
I'll be 120 awesome whenever that shit happens, son.
Look, I don't care. I just want it to happen. Can you imagine if Budweiser
aliens are gonna come here before that shit happens?
If you wreck that $400,000 airplane, just make it cool.
All right, we gotta go.
Let's go.
All right, boys.
It's gonna tie it up. See my show. I gotta remember that.
All right, guys.
Thursday the 9th.
Thursday the 9th. 7 p.m.
Via email, otherwise. All right. Yep. See you.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We will see you guys on Thursday the 9th. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you later.
Peace out.